Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us on a Thursday night. It's been a minute, brother.
Yeah, it has been for you. Yeah, bro, for sure.
Yeah.
I kept tuning in and waiting in a lobby and by myself.
The
You know,
door, hey, I left the side door open for you. You know, it's always open. You can always come in and hang out. There was nobody in the studio.
yeah.
But I had some good reason. Kinsley is growing like crazy, 5 months old in about 9 days. Um, it's
No,
it's
Eric didn't
fun.
have a baby.
Oh
That's his
shoot,
grandbaby. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
For people that maybe it's been a while, bro. Like
Let's see. I
you're just
know, I
thinking everybody
know. Let's
knows
see.
like
I
this
know.
whole gap. You just
Yeah, it
left
has. Let me
everybody
see if
like, hey,
it'll.
sure, there's people out there like,
No, I
where's
don't think
Eric?
it's gonna play. No, it's not gonna play, but that's all right. Well, we got a couple things in there. Um, it's fun because I got to take a break, obviously, but to watch a human being grow and have this personality, and it's great being a grandparent because you can just send them off. She's got an attitude, man.
Oh
She's
yeah,
she's got an attitude.
you can just sugar them on up too. You know what I mean? Like,
Portuguese, Mexican, some random German, like
oh gosh,
Okie.
oh
It's a pot.
caliente.
It's a
Yeah, man.
I
That's
tell you,
just,
man. And then California, we had the heat wave that went on for like a week
bro.
and a half, 2 weeks.
Still,
I got a new cup called the Thermostat Police, which is freaking amazing because I'm like, hey, look, man, it's 114 outside. We don't need this house to be 70. That's too big of a swing. It doesn't work that way. Put it at like 78. They were dying.
hell no,
I know.
man.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's
It was
gosh,
78. And
damn.
I'm like, yeah, okay, that's too
Yeah,
hot.
never, bro. No,
Um,
I told
Thank
myself
you.
after being in the Middle East, never again, never
Well,
be hot
yeah,
like that.
when you have those experiences, right? I mean, 114
Yeah,
is kind of like, that was probably nighttime out
I
back
told
there,
myself
right?
never. I will never be this hot again,
Yeah.
and I
So
don't.
what's new with
Shoot.
Brian? What do you got going on, dude?
Man, just still just hammering away, interviews and stuff. Sat down with Scotty Hastings, that was fun getting to, kind of circle back with him because he's just been on such a trajectory, bro, since, after pretty much after Hero Stock September.
Bro,
He's just been like nonstop and doing great things and having
the
some
Grand
amazing
Ole Opry.
experiences. Yeah,
Bro,
that's
he's gonna
coming
be at
up.
the Grand Ole
Or
Opry.
or the Forrest Gump anniversary. I think it's the 30th.
Yes, 30-year
So
anniversary.
yeah,
30 year,
yeah.
yeah. That's
That's just, it's super excited for him.
I'm
He
I wish
go
more
over
young
to
kids.
he got to go over Normandy, France, and check out
Yeah,
and meet some of the ones that are still alive that actually experienced D-Day and all that stuff. So Travis,
yeah.
what's up? Jeremy, what's up,
Dude,
brothers?
what's up, Travis? What's up, Jeremy? Thanks for joining.
But
I'm having
yeah,
a
man. I
I'm
mean,
having a
so
Wi-Fi
just
thing
just
happening.
kind of still
But hey,
being busy with interviews.
good. That's awesome. Speaking of interviews, we talk to law enforcement, first responders, veterans. We get to talk to everybody on this show. Today is there's an amazing story that is the lead up to it, and we'll get into it a little bit. But we were really going to focus on what Robert Greer has got going on right now because it's what we talk about, PTSD. It's not. Listen, when there's an accident, when there's a traffic accident or a shooting or something that horribly that happens, there's first responders that have to go and see that and deal with that and address
Right.
everything, right? It doesn't go away. It goes away on your TV. They show the 35, 45-second clip of what happened, and then they're blurring out this and that. But the fact that they're seeing this and then they have to go home to be, quote, normal. Same thing with military, right? That's what we talk about all the time. Hey, we're going to train you to go wherever we need you. And then when you come back and have your time, your service is done, we're going to put you back in general population. Guess what? It doesn't work that way. And that's what Robert's going to talk about. The foundation that he's with is amazing. We're going to have a bunch of information. But we did talk about Mr. Hastings. So let's hear from Scotty, and then we'll get on the show. And we have some other things we want to get to also. So Scotty, let's do it.
Yeah, the times and places they may change, but one thing stays the same. The stories that they tell about going through hell. If you think they wouldn't do it all over again, well, you just don't know them. The memories that they own of the ones who didn't make it home, yeah, sure do miss them, but they keep them all living in the stories that they tell.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And check out Scotty Hastings. Like I said, check out Scotty Hastings. Got a lot going on. There's so many people that are part of the contagion effect, and I don't want to leave anyone out, so we're not going to do the list of people. But we did talk about Hero Stock, Rolla, Missouri. Looked like an amazing time. I was just thumbing through the calendar, the Hero Stock calendar for 2024.
Yeah, got mine right behind it.
Yeah, and I know I haven't placed mine up because the flag would be in the way. But lo and behold, it is the fire truck, and it's not going to work. But July is coming, halfway through July already, right? And here we are. We talk about how time moves fast and how we need to do things and bring people together. And so that's what we're going to do. But first, that you can listen to the Contagion Effect show on Truckin' Tuesday with Reese Across America. The Contagion Effect show can also be heard on Reese Across America Radio on Truckin' Tuesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern. You can find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeart app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Search the word Wreath. What's your new podcast? What's your new show coming up, Brian?
The football one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be basically going and talking about nothing but football, man. It's going to be just a football talking show. We're going to
NFL or college, does it matter?
Kind of both, really. I mean, probably kind of primarily more like on the NFL side, but we'll be talking about college because college is a little more exciting sometimes than the NFL.
Bro. I mean, we used to say they play for the passion of the game, but now they play for the pay of the game. NIL is brutal, bro.
I've never seen harder hits than I have at a college game. Like, seriously. I've gone to NFL games. I've gone to the college games are where the fucking hits are, bro. Because those guys ain't letting up, right? They're not letting up. I mean, sometimes in the NFL, they're like, I don't want to get hurt. You know what I mean?
Flag. They don't want to do this.
Exactly.
Targeting.
It's kind of almost becoming like flag football, out there a little bit. Powder puff.
Yeah. Not that our guy played flag football or anything. Born in the great state of Louisiana. Graduated in '96. Went off to LSU. Go Tigers. Oh my gosh. I almost said dogs. I would have got kicked off my own show for that. Go Dogs.
Yeah, I know better than that. My dad was born in Louisiana.
I know. Go Tigers. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Greer, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, guys. And I got to point out, it was the extended campus in Alexandria and then the extended campus in Shreveport. So not LSU Baton Rouge. I wasn't that lucky, but hell, it's good enough, right?
I was going to leave it, man. We got Cal Berkeley and Modesto. Like, I was going to leave it right there. I wasn't going to say nothing about it. I'll fix my light real quick, though. Robert, thanks for joining us. Again,
you're not wearing Speedos right now.
I put shorts on. Do you believe that?
Good thing they didn't catch you in them Speedos.
I was talking to a couple of my trucking buddies, and they said, "You ever do the show with no pants on?" I'm like, "I always got chonies on, man. You can't go bare. You can't go. Sitting on a chair. Sitting on a chair with nothing on, bro. I just my boys need a house. Boys need a house. Tom Pennington, welcome. Hey, Tom. So Tom is one of the newest drivers, and I'm gonna say it because Mike never let me say it. Mike's one of the new drivers of Safeway. Thank you. I appreciate you, dude. I
Thomas.
appreciate you tuning in, man. Today is his Sunday, I believe. Yeah, he's got that midweek days off thing. Sucks being new, number 398th driver out of 300
Wednesday,
or
Thursday
400.
off.
He's got the Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. Again, yeah. Hey, if you guys want to like and subscribe and share, we're gonna have a ton of information today. Robert, that's all I'm going to do. I just want to know where you're from. We found out where you're from. We don't got to talk about any of that. We can get right into what you have going on. If you want to turn back and lead us up to some things, you can. But again, I know you went to high school in Louisiana, went to LSU. We're leaving it like that. We went to LSU, majored in criminal justice, and basically that's where your career started, right? In 2000. Right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I went to college because I wasn't old enough to be a cop yet, right? You had to be 21 to be a cop. So started on my criminal justice degree at LSU. Yeah, criminal justice degree. I got my associate's degree there in Alexandria. I think in December of 2000, July 19 of 2001, I hired on with Caddo Sheriff's Office in Shreveport, Louisiana. Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. Parish, of course, instead of county. Every other state in the world has counties. Louisiana still has
I love that, man. I love it.
Got to be different, man. I love it too.
Well, it's Louisiana, though. I mean, that's a whole. I mean, we say it about every state. Oh, this state's different than every. Well, yeah, they're all different. Even though we are the United States of America, we can get into that later, or not at all. But Louisiana is that we have multiple friends. We have a lot of friends of the show, and Brian does too, that live there, and the People's Patriot Project has an arm that dips into Louisiana, and it's just seems like it's a nice freaking cool town. I've never been there. It's on my list of cruises that Sean and I want to take. So we're definitely going to get. I mean, I could retire right now if I hit the lottery, but then if I'd have to play the lottery to win the lottery. So that's probably not going to happen.
Same here.
Yeah. So once you graduated, you get hooked up, you go through the process, basically kind of like a dream come true type of thing.
Yeah, man. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop. I don't know, maybe watching too much Scooby-Doo when I was little. I don't know. But just being of service to others. Come from, I guess, a family of that. My grandfather on my dad's side drove a tank across Italy during World War II. So he was a combat vet from World War II. My two older brothers also were in the military. Now my dad's a welder. He's a damn good welder. Love him to death. But he wanted us to do something a little bit safer because he saw guys dying on the job all the time. So both my brothers were in the Army, and I was a cop. Yeah, a lot safer.
A lot safer. That. Yeah. Good job, boys. Way to follow on that.
But he always encouraged us. He always loved us a lot, was proud of us. But, he encouraged me to follow my dreams. And my dream was to be a law enforcement officer. I wanted to eventually be in the FBI. The highest I made it was an FBI task force officer when I worked cyber crimes and internet crimes against children. But it was a good career while it lasted.
Well, yeah. And in your bio has a lot of information there too. And I was going to get to that point is, I mean, you may not have got the paycheck from there, but you were certified through the FBI, right? And so some of the different things that you've done, and you brought it up, was the crimes against children. There is, I don't want to say a story, but yeah, it's a story. There was one that kind of stuck with you pretty hard, huh? About everything kind of sticks. Like I said before, everything sticks with you. It's just how you're going to compartmentalize that. I think there's another vowel in there or something.
Exactly. Yeah, there's kind of what you guys were pointing out in your intro, talking about how cops, they see a bunch of bad stuff every day, and it's right there in their neighborhood. But oftentimes it's with people that we know. It's people that we live with, that we work with, go to church with, we see on a daily basis, and we are oftentimes there at their worst. that's one of the more difficult parts of being a law enforcement officer is you're doing it in the community that you live in. With the people that have grown up with. I was a bit removed from the community that I grew up in, 2 hours north of the Alexandria area. I was in Shreveport, but still, I became acclimated to that environment and went to church there. Eventually, continued my education there at LSU Shreveport. Worked there, so I knew quite a few people, and being involved in cases involving friends of mine. One of my coworkers, I was there when his daughter passed away from SIDS. I was second on scene with that one, which is one of the ones that stuck with me pretty heavy. I could go into, a lot of detail on that, but it was difficult. But there were a lot of cases, and I was speaking with my oldest daughter about this the other night in reference to, the ones that we lost, the losses rather than the wins. And I focused heavily on those losses. One in particular, I'll just use the initials LM. Her case, I worked on it when I was a juvenile sex crimes detective. She was local. It wasn't an internet case. And the short version of that story was there were so many factors involved in that case where I was not able to make an arrest. I was not able to arrest her stepdad that was her abuser. And unfortunately, she went right back into that same environment because I couldn't make an arrest. And her mother was one of the reasons for that, battered wife syndrome, whatever. She made the child recant. 2 years later, she attempted suicide. And I worked the case all over again because when I visited with her in the mental health hospital, she told me, I told you everything and you did nothing for me. It just ripped my heart out, you know. I put everything I had into that case originally, and then I worked the whole case over again 2 years later. And we kept the suspect in the interview room for over 6 hours, my sergeant and I, and we could not get him to break. And unfortunately, it was a he said, she said, and the DA would not prosecute. And that stuck with me, along with many, many other things I did in law enforcement. It stuck with me for a long, long time. It took me a while to reconcile that.
And was there was there a finale? Like, what did you ever find out what happened at the end? Is there a positive outcome, or is there
not with that one?
Why do you think we do that? Why do you think that we focus on the losses more than the wins? I think we do that.
I guess because we hold ourselves to a high standard in this profession or in line of service, whether you're military, first responder, what have you. We want to be there for others. And if we can't, then we consider the person a failure. There were so many external factors involved in that case that there was no possible way to make an arrest. I mean, I have to acknowledge that now, but at the time, there was no possible way to make an arrest on that case. But we hold ourselves to a high standard because we see suffering and we want to intervene. If you're in the military, you're overseas, you see people being oppressed, you're going to go to the ends of the earth and sacrifice yourself to bring about freedom for those guys. In law enforcement, it's no different. I saw what was happening to that little girl. I knew, having kids, the possibility of that happening to other kids. And I wanted to put the perpetrator in jail, but I was unable to do so. And I felt that it was my fault. Not the external factors surrounding the case. It was my fault, because if we can't save them, who can? Right. And it's a storyline that's repeated in so many movies I used to hate, like The Guardian, for example, with Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher. And that was his focus. He saved so many people in his life, in his career as a Coast Guard rescue swimmer, but he only focused on the ones that he couldn't save. And that's what tore him down. Right. I kind of hated that storyline, but it's true from my life. So I had to shift the focus from the ones that I lost to the ones that I saved. And realistically, there is a stack of cases that I have of people that I put in jail and kids that I rescued. And there's a very small stack of ones that I could not.
Yeah. And those are the ones that'll weigh heavy on you because you were brought to this point to be a service, right? And you feel like you didn't do service to them, even though you're like, look, like my hands are tied, like there's physically, like I can't do nothing.
And not only that, but sometimes I think our laws hold us against ourselves sometimes, right? Where you guys have a guy right in your grass, but because a document wasn't crossed, something wasn't right on there, the lawyers found this loophole and they get these people off back into the streets. I mean, I gotta imagine that's another frustrating thing for a lot of you guys, because drags you guys into these courtrooms. You got to go against these cases, and then just to find out, wow, something wasn't properly handed right or whatever, and then boom, they're letting the person go based off of some technicality.
It that creates a lot of the moral injury that we deal with. We put ourselves through this enormous amount of stress and pain and suffering, see some of the most horrendous things in the world, only to find out that the prosecutor can't do their job or doesn't do their job. To give you an example, I was commissioned in several different jurisdictions. Not only was I on I worked for the Caddo Sheriff's Office, but I was commissioned through the task force in multiple jurisdictions, multiple parishes, and cases that I would bring about in a neighboring jurisdiction. When I would arrest somebody on internet crimes against children case, they might get a $150,000 per charge bond and a minimum of 5 years in prison. I was asked to compile my stats, my current cases, and everything that I was working on, or that I had recently worked on. And in my jurisdiction with Caddo Parish, these guys were getting $5,000 bond per charge and getting plea deals, getting deferment, getting their cases dismissed. Why the hell was I going through all this and seeing this horrendous stuff if my own district attorney's office wasn't prosecuting it?
Is that laziness on their part? Is that what it is?
At that time,
or is it like, hey, look, we got a conviction or time served or whatever it is?
Picking, choosing.
Is that, I mean,
it's cherry picking, maybe.
Cherry picking is hard to put a finger on it exactly. But at that time, this was 2006 when we started this, and some of these laws were brand new. And actually, we had to go and educate some of the judges on these laws and how they worked and why they were important and why they needed to be enforced.
Yeah.
And some of the DAs, they, whether it was a good defense attorney or whatnot, they thought it was entrapment. They thought it was this and that. So they didn't prosecute. But if they had been on the other end of those computers, of seeing what we were seeing through the pictures, through the videos, and hearing what these guys were saying to us, not only that, the role that we played, that's something that people don't talk about a lot, the role that we play. Now, I was most of the time portraying a juvenile female to, catch these guys, but a lot of us played a lot of different roles. One of the roles I played was a single dad with 2 daughters. And it's something I rarely talk about, but I was playing a role of a single dad with 2 daughters, and I was abusing my daughters, and I would describe that. And it's the difference between catching like a street level guy versus like the upper level distributor in narcotics, right? With most of the people that we were catching were, I guess you would say, the street level pedophile. The ones when we would play that more intense profile, we were catching the guys that were really slick, that were really abusing kids, that were abusing their own kids, that were the hardcore ones. I mean, I could tell you some stories of some of the guys that we caught that were just absolutely horrendous. But the toll it took on me mentally, describing those things that I would allegedly do to my own daughters, it made it extremely difficult for me to be affectionate to my own daughters. It affected me in so many ways that I cannot accurately enumerate, which again,
I don't think a lot of people ever think
PTX.
about that part, right? I don't think people even imagine to think that part. A lot of these guys that have to go undercover, a lot of people that have to go undercover, they gotta play a part. They actually get to know people and things like that. And then, there's the people side of it. That's the hard part, right? Is that you realize on the other end, and you got kids or something around that age. I mean, there's just so much, I imagine, that goes through your guys' head, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's stuff that we can't ever unsee.
Right.
I've seen hundreds of thousands of images of child exploitation. I've seen hundreds and thousands of videos, and I can close my eyes and see with absolute clarity the very first picture I saw during our training with the Louisiana State Attorney General's office, week 1 of the Internet Task Force. I can hear the sounds of some of the videos still, even though I've worked through it quite a bit through all the therapies that I've done. I can still hear it. I can still see it. It's something that will never fully go away, but it's something that I've, been able to make peace with through Warrior's Heart, through Save a Warrior, through Warrior Path, through Resilient Minds, through all the things that I've done in recovery, and through AA specifically. But it's something that I've worked through.
Real
Something
quick,
that I've
let me do this real quick, Brian.
Yep.
So since you brought up, I want to put out the phone number. I want to put out your information first. We jumped into this with both feet, and I freaking love it. Remember, if you need help, let me bring your website up real quick. Remember, if you need help, we are here. My phone is always on. I have email. We also have, is that coming in? There we are. This is Warrior. This is going to be Warrior's Heart. Dang it. I had it. Let me see. Sorry. I told you it wasn't high, mate. Here we go. warriorsheart.com/connect. Okay. You can go there. There's a ton of information. About PTSD, alcohol abuse, dependency. Also, there's also a phone number, and we'll have it on our website. The phone number is going to be scrolling right down here. 1-866-955-4055. I'll have it running on the bottom, off and on the show. Again, if you need it, go to warriorsheart.com/connect. I did that right off of memory. If being a truck driver is pretty good, right? We joke, but we don't joke because we know that there's people out there that need help and need support. Go support what we have going on right here. Okay. Mary May, thank you for joining. She wanted to give you some shout out and props, and it's always nice when people call you friend, right? Like it's amazing. And so thank you for joining. Appreciate that. So now we get back to that. Brian, I apologize for cutting you off, but I wanted to put that out there before we got too deep into it. It's some stuff that you don't need to, that we shouldn't have to see, but we do. Movies make it like this thing, there's that new show out there, Your Honor, right? That's the show on Netflix that is about Louisiana and what happens, or obviously it's TV, but I've lost my train of thought. Anyways, yeah, Brian, sorry. Go ahead and
So I mean, I've talked to a couple of like ATF guys and FBI, CIA. I mean, and something I've heard is humans do some of the most awful things to each other, right? And that some people just can't even imagine what another human would do to another human, but I mean, you guys see the absolute worst of the worst day in, day out. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that, right? Because, social media, the media, all the outlets, they have a way of portraying certain things. And there's a whole other side that a lot of people do not see, so that's all I was really going to say.
Yeah, seeing it is one thing, and then feeling it and living it with your family in the middle of it is quite difficult, which, I have the utmost respect for military. I always held them on a higher level, and I'll talk about that as when I get into my story a little bit more. But they're removed. In most cases, they're removed. They're overseas. They're doing their thing there. We do it with our families in tow, right in the neighborhoods that we live and work in. Seeing a guy that we arrested last week in Walmart while we're shopping with the wife and kids is a very stressful, difficult thing. Having to protect the family 24/7, on the home front while you're still working there.
Shonda has, so my wife is an RN at the jail, right? And so they have their regulars that come in because of whatever they're on or doing or whatever happens. And that has been one of those things where we've seen people that were in jail that have been brought in. And then you see them at the car wash or the store. And I'm a truck driver. So I'm like, I don't see them as much as they do. I can only imagine walking down the street at this Kroger or wherever you shop and then being like, oh, like running into somebody, right? And like you said, protecting your family. No, so then you're kind of like, oh, let's go over here, let's go there. Like, how does that kind of like you're never off duty, basically, is what I'm trying to say, right? Like you're always on, and I think maybe that kind of tends to play into that hard ass being a dad. I mean, you're kind of always on though.
Yeah. As you know, per policy with most law enforcement agencies, even when you're off duty, you're required to carry your gun and badge with you because you're never not a cop, right? If something goes down, you're required by law to involve yourself in it, whether you're off duty or not, whether you're wearing a vest or not.
Yeah.
You know, and then add the fact that your family is there with you. That makes it a lot more difficult. There's been times when I've arrested people in my front yard when I've had an armed standoff in my front yard. And being off duty, people see the patrol car parked there and something happens down the street. They come banging on my door. I'm asleep on midnight shift. I'm not getting up for tree fell down across your driveway. I mean, so yeah, it makes it a little bit more difficult because you never really get a break from that. You're never far removed from it. Now that also presents a hell of a challenge when it comes time for healing. I didn't start my career as an addict and alcoholic, but my career ended that way. I was a teetotaler. First time I got drunk, I was, 26 years old. I was in the detective division. I'd already worked in the jail for several years and then was transferred into detectives. And that was the first time I got drunk. And by the time I ended my career, I was an addict and alcoholic. But it brings up the interesting part of, okay, when it's time to get help, are you going to go to the same place where you've dropped a lot of people off in your career? Or are you going to go to the same place where the judge, you arrested a guy last week for DUI and the judge orders him to go to treatment and then you show up in the same place?
Oh, shit. Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And nobody's going to get healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's why I'm grateful I found Warrior's Heart, and I'm grateful places like that exist.
Yeah, 100%.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, no, and like I said, this is your show. This is about you. This is your show, and we take it whatever direction we can bounce around and talk about different things. Again, Robert Greer with Warrior's Heart. I always want to say project, but it's not a project. But I mean, there's a few different nonprofits that have been on the show, and Eric's Forward Project and different other places, and so I always want to try to say project, but the Warrior Heart Foundation, it is a nonprofit. It is a privately funded treatment center, San Antonio, Texas, and Milford, Virginia. But again, the phone number, the all the email and whatever you need to get a hold of somebody, the contact information, it's all right there. Basically 24/7. And the call center is open during the day, Central Time. And you told me what it was, and I can't remember. But if you need help, like reach out, because it's okay not to be okay, I believe is what we say. And I would like to get Robert. I'd like to get you in touch with Robert Yee. He's a friend of both of our shows. An amazing human and a guy that was not in military, but understands a lot of what we go through as men. Right? He focused, like 99% of his thing is focusing on men's warriors, and a 30-minute conversation with him for free, which I kind of funny because he doesn't charge you for it. I mean, there's help out there, so it's okay to say, hey man, I need some help, man. I'm broken. I need help.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with Warrior's Heart, I'll say that, Warrior's Heart is a private business, and the Warrior's Heart Foundation is now the Frontline Healing Foundation, right? They divested the Warrior's Heart Foundation from Warrior's Heart for transparency, and now have the Frontline Healing Foundation, which is separate. That is the nonprofit aspect of it. Frontline Healing Foundation, they made it possible for me to get the treatment that I need. And they made it possible for folks to get treatment when they have no insurance, have no money, have no VA benefits like myself. They make it possible to get the treatment at Warrior's Heart and other facilities. And Warrior's Heart works very well with them and many, many, many other nonprofits. We work with many nonprofits every single day. We get people in a variety of ways. whether it's through VA benefits, private pay, hardship, what have you. And we work with a lot of those nonprofits to get people in. We don't want money to be something that stands in between somebody and their healing. And people made an investment in me and in my healing. And it's an honor for me to be able to pay it back and pay it forward to others out there. I try to live my life every single day to repay the investment that people made in me to help me get to the healing that I needed. And I'm so very glad that I did. I had a conversation right before I jumped on with one of the guys in the Warriors Anonymous Zoom meetings that he is where I am 4 years ago. Or where I was 4 years ago at the beginning of a divorce, separated from his family, et cetera, looking for answers. Man, I was there, so I was able to give him some encouragement and some hope and let him know that there is a better life out there. But it's because of Warrior's Heart and other foundations, Save a Warrior, Warrior Path. I want to give a shout out to the Grateful Eight from Warrior Path, guys that I went to Warrior Path with that are watching right now. I love you guys. There's so many healing opportunities out there. And you just got to search them out.
Now, how did you end up finding these yourself? I mean,
we talked about not going to where you take your inmates and stuff. Like, how did you find out about it?
So in Louisiana, there just wasn't a whole lot of hope out there, a whole lot of help out there for guys like us. Louisiana is a right to work state. Deputy sheriffs are fire at will. So there's no union, there's no civil service, there's nothing. When your job is over and they're done with you, you're gone. That's it. So I was struggling for 2.5 years. At the end of my career, I was terminated due to policy violations that were a direct result of PTS and substance abuse issues. Now, please understand, I'm not laying blame on the agency. They did what they needed to do. And I thank them for that. It had to happen that way. It couldn't happen any other way. But I was struggling for 2 years. I was trying to find some help and just could not find anything. I was still trying to live life, but it was not going well. In my career, I had done a number of things. I'd worked in the jail. I'd been a detective in financial crimes and youth services. I've been a negotiator. I'd worked patrol. Unfortunately, I had to kill a couple of people on patrol. My first shooting was a suicide by cop scenario where I had to kill a man in front of his kid, along with a whole bunch of other stuff that was just piling on top of me and weighing me down. And I hadn't dealt with any of it. The sheriff's office did offer some help, but this is just me. I didn't trust it. Nowadays, there's a lot of agencies out there that have a completely different process. Oklahoma City, has a really good network. The Houston area is bringing about a first responder support network like Dallas-Fort Worth area to where first responders can get the help that they need without fear of losing their job. It's completely separate than what it used to be, or the way that I experienced it in Louisiana. So I wasn't really finding the help that I needed. And it wasn't until my wife had enough. It just couldn't take it anymore. My life, not only was an alcoholic, a pain pill addict, and was smoking a lot of marijuana every day, I was mean. I was angry. I was moody. I was not the person that you see right now. I was about 50 pounds heavier, had a long beard that, she used to braid for me. I always had this angry scowl on my face and they had to walk on eggshells around me. Everybody did. So when on July 4th of 20, when she was done with me, she booted me out. And that was the beginning of my journey. Now, I still thought, hey, I can fix this. I looked into a couple of different places like the West Coast Post-Trauma Retreat out there in San Rafael. I'll go there for 2 weeks. I'll fix myself. I'll be fine. Right. But you had to be sober before you went. I'm like, yeah, I got this shit. No problem. Right. So I would do some of their meetings on the phone and I had a beer and I would put it behind the computer. I would lean over, take a sip and I really had it. Right.
Sorry.
But I was also at that time listening to a podcast called Friends in Recovery, and they were sponsored by a place in Florida that was a 30-day inpatient rehab specifically for first responders. The name escapes me at the moment, but they were sponsored by them. And I was listening to that podcast and I was very drunk one night on July 31st of 20. I can still remember these dates. And I made a very long Facebook post that scared the wife, now ex-wife. And the following day, she sent me an email stating that she was filing for separation and going no contact with me. And that was August 1st of 20. That was the absolute worst day of my life. I absolutely lost it. And at that point, I found my rock bottom. I was 1000% defeated. And that night I picked up the phone, and the first place I called was that place in Florida. I don't know, I think it was like 10 grand to get in, and I was like 50 grand short. That math doesn't math. So there's just no way I could get there. I had no insurance. My pension was very small. I have a disability pension. When I was terminated from the sheriff's office, they referred me to the Sheriff's Pension Relief Fund. I applied for disability from on the job injury through PTS and, have a small pension from that, but it wasn't enough to get there. Yeah. They referred me to a guy out in California, Matty Fiorenza, that runs a recovery center there, but he was also affiliated with a program called Save a Warrior. And he recommended Save a Warrior, which is a 4-day intensive. Excellent program. Jake Clark and the boys up there are doing wonderful work. I eventually did go to that program, but I had to get sober first, and I needed a lot of help with that. He referred me to Warrior's Heart, and he gave me the website. I pulled it up, and I'm like, man, this looks like military stuff. I've never served in the military. I was just a cop. I can't go here. Yeah. He's like, no, man, it's for first responders too. You need to check into it. So I looked at the website. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. He said, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, this was a Sunday morning. He said, I want you to call a guy named Mike Odell at 10 o'clock. He gave me the number. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'm probably going to get some damn call taker. They're going to ask about insurance or whatever. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So the following morning I called, and Mike answered the phone and said, hello, Robert, I've been waiting on your call. Oh, shit.
Wow.
Started crying and just regurgitating all this bad stuff I've been through, and telling him everything, and just cried my eyes out. And he's like, yeah, I feel you, understand. I've been there myself, man. Let's see what we can do to get you in.
Wow.
And I had no insurance, so he referred me to the Warrior's Heart Foundation, which, like I said, is now the Frontline Healing Foundation. And I applied, and I poured my heart out to him and said, I need help. I need help bad. And it was a process, but I went through the process, and, we do our best to get everybody in as quick as we can. And I understand this now, but it took me about 2 weeks, to get everything lined up. My journey took me about 2 weeks to get everything lined up. Sometimes we move a little bit quicker nowadays, but within a couple of weeks, man, they had me approved. The foundation paid for me to come in. I sold whatever I had left. I did a GoFundMe, and I raised my portion of it, and had to get some things in order for the family so that I could be away for a while. And August 18th of 20, I was checking in at Warrior's Heart, starting that journey. Drove from Louisiana over to San Antonio area and checked in at 1,800 hours.
Wow.
I do want to bring this up because you're talking about Frontline Healing Foundation. I'll get the link on there too. FrontlineHealingFoundation.org. It's all one word. Check it out. Apparently you're coming to California because in Lincoln, which is very close to Roseville, they're like neighbors. The 4th annual Cameron Landon Memorial Golf Tournament, which is August 5th. Sorry. I just playing. Yeah. August 5th, at Lincoln, California. They're going to have the 4th annual golf tournament, and again, tons of information. There's so much information that we're going to have to put up there, but go check it out. FrontlineHealingFoundation.org. Brooklyn's birthday is August 5th, 99. It was the day Mark McGwire hit his 500th home run. Okay, I had to say it because that's how I remember it. And now that there's a charity golf tournament up in Lincoln that looks amazing. I was scrolling through some stuff because I do squirrel out sometimes, and that's what's nice about having a co-host with me, is I can squirrel and find stuff. But we have so many people out there. I hope we can get a couple Contagion Effect fams out there and check that out, because I know Lincoln's amazing. Lincoln, the whole area up in Sacramento is just freaking fun. Plus, they got a casino at Thunder Valley, which is up the 5 highway.
So Robert, were you was it drinking or did you start getting in? I know you said you smoked some marijuana. What did you start getting into other stuff, or was it mainly just the drinking that you were trying to get yourself sober off of?
Well, and that's a unique part of that story, right? I mean, I swear, man, I was a teetotaler all my life. I was SpongeBob SquarePants, man. I was Captain
Right.
Milquetoast when it came to
Yeah.
growing up. Growing up in Woods, Louisiana, man, I didn't drink or do drugs or anything, and then later on, somehow or another, I end up being an addict and alcoholic. Now, the short version of how that happened was 2006. Man, we do a project at Warriors Heart during our training called the Lifeline Project, and it's where and how we see our life gets off course. And for me, it was 2006. We were adding on to our house. We had just started the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and there was a lot of stress on me from a lot of different areas. And I was experiencing some issues with my digestive tract that ended up being Crohn's disease. So that summer, I was on my roof. I kind of messed around during a rainstorm trying to fix a tarp, and I slid off the roof. I broke my wrist, tore up my ankles. I broke my back. That was the second time I broke my back, cut my head open, and ended up in the hospital. I was about to have a colonoscopy to find out what was going on with my digestive tract, because I had a lot of mouth ulcerations, And while I was in the hospital with a broken back and stitches in my head, I said, hey, can y'all knock out this colonoscopy I was supposed to have? And they did. And I was very inflamed from what later became Crohn's disease. And while I was in the hospital, about a week later, my colon ruptured. And they had to do emergency surgery to remove all but about 18 inches of my colon and put me on a colostomy bag. I ended up in the hospital for 19 days. I lost 45 pounds in that 19 days and came out just in really, really bad shape. I had a cast, I had a colostomy bag, I had 50 staples in my stomach. I had a broken back, broken wrist, stitches. So there was a lot of pain pills, right? Now, the first time I broke my back was in 2001 in a car wreck. And it really, I don't know, I was in the hospital 8 days for that, had to wear a bracelet. Looking back, it wasn't that bad, but this one was pretty horrendous. And at that time, I still wasn't much of a drinker or didn't abuse alcohol. I'd been drunk one time at that point. Several months later, I had the second surgery to remove the colostomy and reconnect what was left in my colon to my small intestines, right? So again, more surgery, more pain pills. But I can clearly remember the wife and I went to a Mexican restaurant, and then I was asking her, because there was just days I could not remember from that 19 days in the hospital. I could not remember some of those days, and she was kind of filling me in on what happened. And I remember ordering a margarita and thinking, damn, that's good. Right. And somehow or another, that one margarita turned into going through 3 liters of tequila in a week in my margaritas. I went full tilt with it. And that was in a course of about 5 years. Now, one of the things I point out for humor, but also to point out how the pain pill addiction started. After I had the colostomy bag removed and recovered from that surgery, I was at my desk in financial crimes, working the part-time Internet Task Force, and had to pass a little gas, right? So I kind of leaned to one side, tried to fart, and shit all over myself. 100%.
No. The shark,
right? The shark, and it was bad too. It was one of those go home and start your day over kind of situations, right?
No, man.
A couple vacation days afterwards.
Gosh, yeah, everybody's kind of been through that. I'm one way or another.
Right. I bring that up, for levity, to laugh about it. But at the same time, on my way home from the office, I'm in my detective unit. That bottle of pain pills was right there in my center console. And I wasn't hurting physically. I was hurting mentally. I was hurting emotionally. And those pain pills made me feel really good, So I threw a couple down the hatch on my way home. And I believe that time frame, that incident is where the pain pill addiction started. And then the drinking started from there too.
Using it for coping, right?
Yeah.
For coping.
Yep.
Now I started, I worked that task force for 5 years and I went to patrol. I was having a lot of problems emotionally. I was having a lot of problems with nightmares. I was having a lot of problems with kids, dreams about kids, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to experience that. So I started taking the pills. I started drinking, taking Ambien, so that I would not remember the dreams. I would just watch TV and drink and take
Mm,
the pills until I would pass out. And there were
Mm.
so many times where I would wake up in a puddle of piss, because my central nervous system was so depressed that I was probably this close to death. And I
Yeah.
point that part of it out because you mentioned Cam Landon.
yeah.
Cam passed away in his sleep and was kind of doing the same thing. He was a Marine Corps veteran. He was a law enforcement officer. And, he was doing a lot of the same things that I was doing. He didn't wake up. I've had friends who have done the same thing. They didn't wake up. So by
Mm.
the grace of God, I'm still here. But that's how it ramped up for me. I was, like I said, 3 liters of tequila in a week in my margaritas. I was going through 90 pain pills, 90 Percocet 10s in probably 2.5 weeks.
Mm.
I was abusing stuff pretty heavy, pretty heavy.
Wow.
I'm scrolling through frontlinehealingfoundation.org, and I noticed that Angela Landon's on the board of director, and she has a little story about it and stuff. How did everybody get out to Lincoln? Why was Lincoln the chosen one for the foundation or for this golf tournament?
I would have to defer back to them. I know she lives in that
Okay.
area. Cam
I
lived and patrolled in that area. He was a
okay. So
cop
he
there
was
in
from.
Lewisburg.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I guess I should have done my research.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. Again, we'll have a link to that too, and I think that's there's a lot of healing, a lot of PTSD and mental health that's been on this program right now. And first of all, I appreciate you joining us, and I appreciate you telling your story. And I know that's part of healing. The more we talk about what we go through, and hey, look at not the hey, look at me now, yay for me. It's the hey, look at me now. I got through it. Hopefully, you can use this to help you. And so I know it's hard to tell someone, hey man, I shit myself, after this and happened, and I mean, literally, like we have not all of us have been to that level, but all of us have been in that position of, oh man, like shit, literally, like. And I'm not going to harp on that. I'm not going to keep mentioning that. I'm just saying I appreciate your openness about what you went through and how the foundations have helped you. I do have a question. I'm going to go back to so knowing that you have a family at home and you have daughters and a son, and you guys are going through all this stuff. Was there ever a time where you're like, man, I'm out? Like, did suicide ever come into your thought process of this, or was it not to that level?
1000%. It was there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd worked 5 years on that task force, and there was some nightmares and stuff with that. I had gone to detectives before I went to patrol, right? And I'd had enough. I just could not do it anymore. I could not hear the stories. I could not look at the pictures, and I was out. I was beginning to feel a lot of those effects, and I had to, go to my supervisor and say, "Look, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go to patrol." So I did. And, then other stuff happened on patrol. I mentioned that first shooting I was in, June 19th of 2013, methamphetamine addict, at the end of his rope, forced me into a suicide by cop situation. And his son, I think, was 10 years old, and watched it happen. That
Mhm.
hung with me for a long time. And I think after that is probably when the suicidal ideations really started. Because initially, I was okay with it. I did what I had to do. I survived, et cetera. But then later on, as my disease worsened, it was like I shot myself, right?
Yeah.
This guy was reaching out for help. I needed help. It was like, I ended my own life. And that's when the alcohol and the pain pills got really, really worse. And then, I would sit at my computer in my office late at night drinking and watching that dash cam video just over and over and over again. And I got low. I got very, very low. I remember one night I wrote out a note, a suicide note. and I had every intent of checking out. And then later on in life, after my career was over, there were numerous times when I would be drunk or high or whatever, and I'd be sitting on my bedroom floor with a pistol in my hand, just, daring myself to do it, but I couldn't. I absolutely could not do it. Um, I didn't want my kids finding me, you know? And with that suicide note that I wrote out, I'd forgot about it. I put it in my desk and I forgot about it until years later when my oldest daughter found it, you know?
Mhm.
And my wife called me at work and was upset, and I assured her that was an
Yeah.
old note, tried to smooth everything over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we moved on from it. And then years later, she got to a low point and she attempted. And that was another wake up call for me, but it wasn't the final wake up call. And that's one thing that I point out to people when I talk to them about this kind of stuff. It's hard going through this, but the idea of checking out crosses all of our minds. We want to end the pain and end everybody else's suffering because we feel like we're a burden to them. But this is one of the things I heard on a podcast once. Suicide oftentimes is hereditary. If a kid sees mom and dad doing it
Mhm.
when things got bad for them, dad was this strong guy. He made it through all this stuff, and this is the path he chose. That's
Right.
what I need to do, right?
Yeah.
That's the way that it works. However, if we take another path and we decide, you know what, I'm not going to let this get me, and I'm going to show my kids that we can make it through it, your kids will see that, and your kids will stick around. And that
That's right.
has actually brought us closer together.
That's right.
Me and my kids, especially the one who made that attempt. Uh, and if anything, I can show them that no matter how bad it gets, there are brighter days ahead. No matter how bad you want to check out, there are brighter
Yeah.
days ahead. And my life right now is an example of that. I have two of my three kids here with me. Um, and my son, is back home working a full-time job, and we have a great relationship, me and the kids,
Awesome.
and and even the situation with the divorce, it was difficult to go through, but I've made peace with that, and I have thanked her for having the courage to send me on my way, because if she hadn't, I never would have recovered. I never would have healed,
Yeah.
and I never would have the life that I have now. So with the suicide part of it, we stand on this. I found myself standing on the other side of this chasm, watching my life go by without me, and it hurt and
Yeah.
it was painful, and I did not want to endure that. I wanted to check out from it. But I
Yeah.
found the strength with the help of others. I found the strength to endure that and to recover. And now I stand on the other side of that chasm with a whole new life that is much better than I ever could have imagined. So many positive things have happened, but it was because I reached out. It was because I asked for help, because we can't do this shit alone. That's the
No.
one thing that gets everybody, right? We want to do this alone and we don't reach out for help. Well, as a cop, if I'm getting my ass handed to me on the side of the road by a suspect, I got no problem calling a signal 70, officer needs assistance, right? Military guys, you're being overwhelmed by the enemy, calling in QRF. But when it comes to our own internal fight, why can't we find the strength to do that? There's no fucking shame in it. Call
Yeah.
Right.
for help. You need help. You're
Yeah.
getting overpowered. Call for backup. And there's
Yeah.
so many people out there that stand ready and willing. And I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for those people that I've mentioned already and the other people along the way, guys like you that are bringing this message out. That's the backup. That's the help. Call,
Yeah.
reach out for it.
Well, I appreciate it. And the thing about this is we used to go 2 hours long, right? And we do about an hour-ish, and we're coming up on the hour now. And again, I'm going to have you on again because I love this story and the way you can explain things and be open and honest. I do want to go back to the Cameron Landon Memorial Golf Tournament, the fourth annual, that's going to be held at August 5th. It's for Officer Cameron Landon, passed away July 16th. He was in the Marine Corps from 05 to 09. He went to Iraq. He came home to Grass Valley. He's from Grass Valley. He's from Roseville. So Roseville and Rockland butt up against each other. And he was in SWAT. He was part of the police department there. And so that's why it's there. But there's so many programs out there as long as you can ask for help. And that, like you just said, that's the hardest thing. It's hard to ask for help. It really is. It's an ego thing for us. And And when we go through things, we have to lean on people. And I appreciate you being on and sharing your story. Brian's who I kind of lean on when things go wrong. And I've had so many text messages and emails and everything being sent to me like, hey, what's going on with Contagion? And what, Nana Penny, this is my mom. Hey mom. Hey Nana. Thanks for joining. Kurt and Denise, thank you for joining it also. And Michael, appreciate you, man. Appreciate all you guys coming on and watching this. There's going to be some information put out there for us, for you guys through us. And I hope people use it. One of the things that we kind of wrap up is a short-term goal. Give me a short-term goal, like right now, like in the next couple months. What do you got going on that you want to get out there, like in the near future?
Personal or professional? I guess I should ask.
Your choice, man. We can do both. How about both? Why not? Why not personal and then professional?
Personal is just continue healing and continue this recovery journey. It doesn't stop when you exit the gates of a rehab. That's when it starts.
Yeah.
I spent 7.5 months there with Warrior's Heart between the rehab portion and then the intensive outpatient sober living. I had the unique opportunity in February 21 to go up to Save a Warrior and be a part of that network. In February of this year, I went to Warrior Path. The healing continues. So with me, it's the personal is just continuing to face my fear of failure, which is how I ended up working for Warrior's Heart as an admissions advocate. Been there about a year now. I moved into a bigger place. Each step along the way, I've been able to rebuild myself.
Yeah.
I need to get a new truck pretty soon. My 05 Chevy has 308,000 miles.
Beautiful.
Right. But continue to improve my personal recovery with credit, with living situation, with vehicle, but most importantly with family. My wife has remarried, but my kids are a huge part of my life. I have a girlfriend, things are going well with her. So I continue to improve my life and continue to move forward in the professional sense, but also in the personal sense.
Yeah.
But with the professional sense, I'm continuing to move up with Warrior's Heart. I'm a part of several other networks. We run a podcast where we're telling the stories of guys like us, the High Speed Chicken Feed podcast, which is just another avenue of healing for guys
awesome.
like us. So both the professional and the personal side of it continues, but it's from that 11th step. It's from the 11th step of those 12 steps, where we pray for God's will for our lives and the power to carry that out. You got to be open to it. I never would have thought I'd be here doing this, but here I am. And it's brought about so many wonderful things for myself, and for my family for that matter. My daughter, Jill, works at Warrior's Heart with me. I do the admissions process and then she checks them in an intake. If you would have told me 4 years ago when I walked through the gates of Warrior's Heart that would be a possibility, I said, you're a fucking liar. But it is. It is. It has happened. And things have been great because of it. So it's been a wild ride, man. It really has, but it's been beautiful.
So I'm going to put this out there, and I can't wait for your book to come out. I want one of the first copies signed, and you send that to me. And you laugh and we laugh, and Brian and I both know that could happen because we actually have a guy who wrote a book, Donald Dunn. Two drunk dudes in a gun room. I'm still going with it, Brian. I'm going old school with it. Our buddy Brian Roof actually has the ability to make that happen. And I'll be the first one to buy a copy, to be honest with you. I think it needs to be a book, brother.
I appreciate that. And you guys have only heard just a small fraction of
I imagine, bro. You're probably a big novel of stories. So the biggest thing about it is it's great to have your podcast, right? Like in podcasts in general. I think that it would have been great to have this back and gotten a lot of the stories from the World War days and the Vietnam era, and just in general, just from even like firefighters and police officers, even correctional officers, day in, day out stories, because so many people could actually learn from it, right? It also bridges that community relationship you know, and we know right now that the relationship between the community and some of the you know, law enforcement isn't good in some communities. In some communities, we're probably better than others, but we got to work on that whole thing. And the best way to do it is just being, you know, being able to tell you guys a story, you know, being transparent with it and not being afraid to say, hey, we got weak moments too, man. We're just like everybody else. Just, you know, because you wear a uniform, that doesn't mean that you're numb to certain situations or you don't have any feelings towards any situations.
Yeah, we had a tendency to numb out. You know, day one of the academy is you got to keep your emotions in check and you got to be stoic on scene so that you can handle the situation for, you know, the person who is called in with an emergency. But learning how to get back in touch with your emotions is not something that's taught. It's encouraged, but it's not something that's taught. So how do you do that? Well, there's many networks and opportunities out there now to learn how to do that. And it's a beautiful process.
And I'll mention this real quick because her comments up or the comments up here. Liz with Goody PR. If you go to Goody PR, GOODYPR.com, phenomenal. It's great. I had an email list. I had information. I had bio. I had links. Correspondence was awesome. If you want to get your PR people, if you want to have PR people, go check out goodypr.com. I'm not going to charge you for it. I'm not going to charge them for it. They can have it, right? But it was great. No, it was so awesome because, you know, this is what it's about, right? I mean, obviously there's a service and you can get into all that aspect, but it's the like you said, it's a relationship between law enforcement, military, first responders, and the general public. I'm general population. Okay. I'm a truck driver by trade. My dad was in the Navy. He committed suicide 6 years ago. This is how the contagion effect started, along with Mike, our other, I don't know, freaking founding father, I guess. His dad was in the Marines, had got some cancer in the military and passed away. And this was our give back, right? This was our service. So, again, man, Robert, we could go for hours, and you said it the best, man. Just scratching the surface. Just to let you know, though, chicken feed is a trucker slang. Did you know that? It's a trucker slang.
What's it mean in trucker world? Let me ask that.
Well, it helps you get down the road. Okay, it's a little bump to get you down the road.
Well, you know, Kyle Miller.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle Miller, I went to Warrior's Heart with Kyle Miller, and this was his brainchild, right? Kyle, that was his DOC, was methamphetamine. So high-speed chicken feed is that
high-speed chicken feed.
Is that juice to get you
Come
going,
on,
baby.
let's go. Come on, drive. Come on down one eye. Come on, I-5. You got any of that chicken feed on the side, baby? Come on.
There you go.
Oh, boy. Hey, gentlemen, thank you so much. Again, Robert, we'll have some links and stuff like that, and we're going to get you put out there. And we're going to contact again, man. We do a forum. We're going to get back into it. We do a forum once a month-ish. And so we'll bring you on. We'll have like 5 or 6 other people bouncing in and out, sharing stories and just camaraderie, right? It's kind of like that round table type of thing that we like to do. Brian's been part of almost every one that we've had. And Brian's my crutch. I lean on him, and you know, he doesn't need to lean on no one, but because he's got a freaking setup and he's doing the right thing, man. And hopefully we get to the level that Brian's got going on. And Robert, thank you, man. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to be back anytime, guys.
Absolutely. Right on. Thank you, sir.
Okay, brother.
All right, man. We're going to kick you to the back. We got a little bit long. We got a little bit more, but just don't go nowhere yet.
Eat the snacks back there in the waiting room.
The snacks, man. I'm going to start sending stuff.
Crayons.
Speaking of snacks, what's funny is here's another free promo. So the kid works at Robert's Ferry Gourmet, right? And I was talking to him. Their son.
What got in that bag?
Dude, I'm going to let you know. Hey, their son is at our MCRD right now in San Diego.
Okay, San Diego.
He's down there.
MCRD.
Yeah. Recruit West,
Hollywood
right?
Marine. That a boy,
dude. So I mean,
that's where the real Marines come out. By the way,
I'm telling you, man. Case is down there. Case West. It's Cammy's boyfriend's brother. He's down there. Just graduated. Went down. Amazing kid, man. He's probably like 6'2", 6'3". not skinny, but
Just
not
now
thick.
he's
But
now
bro,
he's
he's gonna be,
yeah.
bro, he's gonna come back freaking in that
Oh,
dress
he
blue.
will.
Woo,
Mhm.
man. But no, Robert's Ferry Gourmet. Dude, I got some
Ooh.
popcorn. I'm gonna send
It
you
looks
some
like
stuff.
it's gold on it. It looks gold on
Dude,
the
that's
the
what's
screen
funny,
right now.
dude. That's what's funny because the
Whoa,
green
look at
screen,
that.
right?
Dang. Yeah. It's like
Woo!
it looks like gold in there.
Hey, you know where they ship to? San Diego down to the zoo. The marine is
Ah.
it Marine World, not Marine World, but what's the
SeaWorld?
SeaWorld? SeaWorld. Yeah, they go to the SeaWorld.
Or Shamu?
Yeah, so Robert's Ferry Gourmet, they got a bunch of stuff in here. Anyways,
That's awesome.
I just want to give a shout out because there's
I
a
like
page.
food.
Yeah, there's a support page for them and stuff like that. And I'm gonna ask them if I can add some of us dudes in there and give them some, hey, keep going, it's gonna be tough, but you got it, and welcome to real life. So what do you got, bud? What do you got going on? Talk to me. You get the last word today.
No, man, we're just like I said, hammering through all these interviews and trying to get through the summer. It's just been hot, bro. And I tell you, man, when it rains, it pours on my end. I tell you, like, you just always think things are going good, and then bam, something else, dude. Like
oh boy,
vehicles, right? Like, so I got a Dodge Challenger, and then we got a Chrysler van, right? And because we got so many damn kids, we got Challenger's my little play, car, and then we got the van. Well, Challenger, the shifter goes out, so we had to take it into the shop. That it was there
it's
for
new, isn't
a
it?
while. It's a newer one, yeah. It's not old, bro. All of our cars are newer.
Yeah.
So then the day we pick that up, bro,
no,
my wife's out on an appointment, and she calls me and she's like, the car won't like go into any gear. I'm like, oh my God, is that the transmission? And so, dude, that we have to get it towed, and then they come back with
selector.
They come back with the damage, bro, is like $7,000 worth of damage. Yeah, the transmission's done, something with the oil pan, all this stuff, bro. And then I go to a dental appointment, and that's another $7,000 bill, bro. Like deep cleaning, all this
pulled
stuff.
Your damn tooth out, man.
No, I didn't have nothing wrong. Well, okay. I reached the point in my life where I finally broke a tooth, right? And
welcome to the club.
But I didn't break it all the way down to the root, right? I just broke the son of a bitch. I was like, oh no. And I thought I like had food stuck in there. No, bro, because I was eating these dry freeze Skittles,
dude.
Which are great. They're great, but
dude,
no
more caramel candy.
No more.
Even these.
Yeah,
I love these.
I've reached that point in my life, bro.
Yeah. The gummy bears, the cinnamon bear things, they'll pull the fillings out of your anyways. Hey, I love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Man.
We know who we need to talk to. We gotta get a little Tommy in here, right? Little Tom Ettinger. Thank you. Hey, remember warriorsheart.com/connect. We'll have links in the bios and all that good stuff. Remember, thank you for the support. I do appreciate all you guys that text me. And we're back. We're back. We're going to be working with every day is a Saturday. We'll get some guests out and stuff. So, and again, if you want to be a guest on the Contagion Effects show, I got a Calendly, and it is wide open, people. It's wide open.
That means get on it.
Get on, baby. Deuces.